Hello, and welcome to Crossing Bridges Talk Show. I'm your host, Larry Montgomery. This is my co host, William. William, introduce yourself.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is William Montgomery. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yes. Okay, good. So, okay, this is our year in review show. We're going to go over it. It's been on the air for a year. So, congratulations, William.
Congratulations. Yeah.
And we just picked a few of the topics that we discussed, and we thought we kind of recap for a moment or two, but there was so many of them to choose from, um, and we don't have that much time, so we picked a few out to maybe have some final comments or thoughts on, or just to review. So let me see if I can work this magic here and get us okay. Here we go. We're going to start. Let me give you the list of topics real quick. The first show, Fatherless Fathers. The second would be Keeping Your Word, Black Lives Matter episode, Commitment, The Importance of Fathers, The Willie Lynch Letter, Part 1, Questions You Should Ask Before Marriage, Transgender, The N Word. So those are the nine that we selected, and we may get through at least four of them and in this particular episode, and then can see what we're going to do with the balance for the next one. So let's get started here. Let me play it for you so you can hear it, and then we'll get going here. Hello, and welcome to another episode of Crossing Bridges Talk Show. I'm your host, Larry Montgomery Sr. This is my co-host, William. William, introduce yourself.
Good evening, everyone. I'm William Montgomery. It's a pleasure to be here.
William Montgomery.
Don't mind them, folks.
I mean, it works. Oh, this week we had the door is open for John Sanders to step back in if he'd like to continue our conversation on the Back to Ghana top. I think I got the wrong one up.
Yeah.
Yeah, no wonder it was longer than I thought it was. Let me see if I can find the right one. Oh my God, how embarrassing. So we got to put on the music.
hmm
Let's see.
In the meantime,
Take this offline for a second and then find it and then put it up. But in the meantime, did you have something you want to offer up? Will, let's see.
well, being that today is our 1 year anniversary, I would like to say congratulations to my father for uh, having this show for young Black Americans, such as myself, to learn from other interactions that people have had, older generations, not so old generations, the new generations. If we can get some younger folks to come on and uh, talk about some of the things that maybe they have experienced, or ask the questions that they may have questions about, because like, what's the point of having knowledge without if you're not able to share it? So, any success with that video?
Yeah, hold on. Now let me see what I can do here. The magic of oh, let's see. Hello, and welcome to another episode of Crossing Bridges. I hope this isn't a copy of the same one. I'm your host, Larry Montgomery Sr. This is my co-host, William. William, introduce yourself.
Good evening, everyone. I'm William Montgomery. It's a pleasure to be here.
William Montgomery.
Don't mind them, folks.
I mean, it worked.
It's the same thing.
So, and we rehearsed this. The door is open for Johnson. It's the same one, but a different title. Alrighty then. It's a comedy show now. It's embarrassing. We're gonna find that stupid thing.
Well, I mean, we could just
We
go
can
over
talk
the
about them
topics.
straight
Yeah,
up, huh?
yeah.
Okay, let's do that because this ain't working out like I thought.
That's how you know it's live, folks.
His life all the way. All right, the first show we did was on fatherless fathers, and I think what was interesting there, while it was our first effort, we did go over some of the statistics from a national perspective of the impact that fatherless households has on our community and the actual country, the society. Fatherless fathers is not just a black thing, okay, but we are focused on the black community because it's important to us. One of the statistics that indicated that while America, as one country, has more people incarcerated than all of the other countries combined. Yeah, so think about that for a minute. Um, uh, and the black community represents about 10% of the country. We actually represent almost 40% of those people who are incarcerated. So you can think about that one too. And then of that number, almost 70% of those men who were incarcerated come from households that did not have a father in it. So, yeah, there is an impact when the household doesn't have the biological father, you know. Now, you can have a stepfather, and I'm not saying that stepfathers don't do a good job, but then that's an area of concern on a national basis. Did you want to add something, Will? Or, I mean, I could probably go on for another 5 minutes with this.
I'm sure you could. But yeah, definitely. I mean, a stepfather has some big shoes to fill because most likely the child is going to know that that stepfather is not their biological, so that connection is not there. So the ability to reach them in a deeper level is not going to be like it would be with a biological father. So it's, I mean, so with the father not being there and the biological, I mean, and the stepfather having that disconnect with the child biologically, uh, it's even more of a problem. So father not being there, the stepfather not having a connection, or just no father figure at all. You know, these are the three things that are hurting the black community.
And to add to that, two quick things. First off, um, while mothers are important, very important in a household, and women in general are strong people and parents, good parents, it's very difficult for a woman to raise a male child. And some people have their opinion about it, mainly from what white America is determined. But the reality is that in the black household, having a black male father is important because there's things you learn from your father, whether he told you or not or showed you, you learn by watching.
Mm-hmm.
We've had that conversation about those things, do as I say and not as I do type of a thing. It usually doesn't work out well. And that's why we do have conversations to kind of explain away some of those things that came out of our mouth that in the heat of passion or whatever is not really what you want your children to buy into. I think I probably told a story about my father who smoked. And he would say, smoking is not good for you. Pass me another Viceroy. I'm like, okay. Well, that was dad. He smoked Viceroys. But anyway, I don't smoke. So, yeah, the child does have their own, spirit, their own thoughts or whatever. But clearly, if I was not exactly who I am, because there's some traits that my father, had that I may have picked up on and not happy about that. But okay, you get comfortable with it because you see it so much. It's like it's the norm. I remember a pastor of mine was saying that when they went to visit other people, they were surprised to see how they lived because they just assumed that everybody lived the same way they lived.
Mm.
And that's why, one of the reasons why you should be careful as to who you invite into your home. A lot of people say, "Oh, I'll bring your friends over." No, no. Who you going to bring over? I may have been by their house and know how they act. I don't want them up in here.
Yep.
It's a part of your responsibility. But okay, so we talked about that and revisited for a minute. Did you want to make a closing remark, or should we just go on to the next topic?
Yeah, I do want to make a little remark. Yes, we're all, nobody's perfect, as a father, so sometimes there are lessons in what not to do. But like my father said, with his father smoked, my grandfather, and he chooses not to smoke. He learned from what his father did, but he learned what he wasn't going to do. But he saw what my grandfather did, and he made a conscious decision that that's not how he was going to live. But he learned that from observing.
Yeah.
That was the point I wanted to make.
Yeah. Okay, number 2. Finished? I'm sorry.
Yeah, finish.
Okay. Number 2 was keeping your word. We talked about that. And that was a pretty a good conversation because a lot of people have gotten away from that.
Yes.
A lot of people have gotten comfortable with the fact, well, just say what you need to say to get out of the room. Make everybody happy. Just get up out of there. And you don't have to be bothered with them. But then what happens is something comes right back around and bites you on the butt. You said this, and you're not doing that, or you didn't do it, or did you just straight up and lie? And you get comfortable with that kind of an attitude at home. And then when you go to work for someone else, that's a part of your character. You get comfortable, and people realize that they can't trust what you say. Oh, he's a pleasant guy. He's always friendly, but you can't trust him
at all.
At all. And I'm not just talking about everything has got to be mega important. Some things are just simple. You walk in the room, hey, how you doing? Yeah, I'm good. How are you? Good. Then they fall over from cancer. Dang, man, when you tell me you were sick,
Yeah.
I might have got you a doctor or something, but you always say you're feeling good because you're just lying. Well, not that that person was going to be able to actually do anything for you, but you never know. But anyway, do you have comment?
No, I mean, that's perfectly, you made a perfect point.
Okay. We had a conversation about Black Lives Matter, the movement.
Oh, yes.
Definitely. Okay, which was very
incorporated.
I'm sorry?
I said incorporated because I don't want people to, like you said, the movement, but some people may not understand the difference. The slogan, the movement, the Black Lives Incorporated. The slogan represents something positive. Black lives do matter, but the corporation or the movement, the people, the organization, I should say, is what we're talking about when we say Black Lives Matter in this episode.
Well, that's what we got to. You're absolutely correct. We got to that point of separating. No, well, when we looked into Black Lives Matter, the organization, and there were a couple of points right there real quick. Black Lives Matter, the name, the corporate name, is associated, was earnestly owned by someone else. And then the group, because of the movement, came along and they incorporated it again. And there was a little battle there, but they worked it out. But as you look into it and you start to understand some of the things that came into light, one was one of the leaders was exposed or talked about, whatever, about buying $1 million worth of real estate or something to that effect, a couple $1 million, whatever. And so obviously the question comes up, if some of the chapters aren't getting any of the benefits of belonging to the organization, and suddenly the leaders buying $1 million properties, people ask questions,
Mm-hmm.
and rightfully so, because the one thing, and I did point this out, is that in the nonprofit sector, all you have is your word, your integrity.
Mm-hmm.
You don't bring any assets to the table. You don't bring any formulas to the table, any you know products or something tangible. You bring your word. You say, look, we're trying to help poor people, and I'm riding around in a Benz
Mm-hmm.
or Bentley. Well, how are you helping poor people? What, they pumping your gas? I mean, yeah, okay, that's one way, but that's not what I was going to donate my money for, than to pump gas for your Bentley.
Yeah.
I could have I could have bought them a bicycle. They could have got a job delivering newspapers, but they're pumping gas for your Bentley. But anyway, so while we were looking into that, we read the documents and started to see that a good portion of the mission is focused on sexuality. Now, I'm not going to sit here and talk about, and we had that conversation concerning myself with any individual's sexuality. That's not my job, not my mission, and not what I'm interested in. I am a strong believer in what you do behind closed doors, you're doing it there for a reason. I ain't in it. Okay. But then now you're talking about raising money because people are trying to support the movement of Black Lives Matter, and you're using a portion of it, a substantial portion of it, to fuel conversation over someone's gender. I don't agree with that. I think that's a problem because that's a very specific concern. And my last point there is that it's only a concern as created by the media because you taking care of whatever business you taking care of behind the doors, closed doors, ain't nobody else's business. Period. But okay, so I can rant on for more time. But did you want to say something, Will?
Well, I mean, the leaders, they're they claim to be trained Marxists, which falls into the communist realm. And to me, their ideology is that everything is shared. So with her having these, it was like $3 million worth of property. If that's her belief, I mean, she's acting more like a capitalist than a Marxist. So, I mean, she's already threw out her credibility with those houses that she bought, those properties that she bought that are not even near where Black people live. So, I mean, you're living around the same people that you say hate you. That don't make too much sense to me. I digress.
And the only reason you got that opportunity is because you call yourself helping people,
Mm.
But anyway, okay. Um, moving right along here, commitment was the next topic we took on, and a lot of people have difficulty with committing to things. I mean, we see it first when we come down to the family structure. You know, you see over and over again men and women having children. And the guy is on Fifth Avenue and the woman is on 10th Avenue with the kid.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, then we go back to the issue of fatherless fathers and how much of an impact that has. But understanding if I have a child with you as a woman and I'm not willing to commit to you to be with you to raise that child, the child is going to be raised under an understanding that this is acceptable behavior, which is it's legal. That's not an issue.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is why are you here? You know, uh, God said, go forth and multiply. He wasn't, and he created marriage. That wasn't a thing that man created. So what part, why are you not connecting the dots here? You know, because social media has convinced you that this is the way life should be. When you look at those people who are behind the media telling you about how life should be, look at their lives and see what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Bill Gates. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All of a sudden, after how many years, 30 years, 20 years, whatever, marriage, you know, wife, and now you got all this money and you out there thumping on the employees, you know. So like, and the thing is, his board of directors aren't happy with it. So you just plain blatant with that kind of activity, you know. But let's leave him alone. The point of this whole conversation was getting black people, to understand that there's more reasons why marriage is important than just the fact that some sociologist said that, well, it's okay to make babies and walk away. Okay. Onward and upward.
Well,
I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
The importance of fathers.
Oh, wait, hold on. I was going to make a comment on the commitment thing.
Go ahead.
Well, what I was going to say is, thinking about it, as you were saying, God said, go forth and multiply physically, that, people think that that's all there is to it, but you can also multiply with your personality, excuse me, by injecting that into your offspring. That is another way to multiply.
Yeah.
I digress.
Yeah. That's a good reason, because, like father, like son.
Yep.
Type of a thing. Hopefully you got a good father. Anyway, the importance of fathers. And so we talked about that issue. Again, it's still the same theme, because the show is about crossing bridges, those bridges in life, those things where I've had an opportunity to be exposed to and go through. It's my obligation to share with my children, so that if the road was good, fine, this is a good opportunity. If it was a hard road, a rough road, be careful, watch out for this, watch out for that type of a thing, because no one else has the obligation to tell you this is the easy way to do that. Why would they tell you? Unless, if they love you, you would think that they would, but it's not really their obligation. Your parents have the obligation. But anyway, okay. And there were some other things we had talked about in there, but I didn't want to just rehash everything. Number 6, the Willie Lynch letter we talked about. Okay. And that was very interesting, because I don't even think we finished that conversation. We just got started with it and read the first couple of paragraphs or the first page, and you start to go back to an era that life was just, in this country, ooh, man, you got from one end of the spectrum to the other end of the spectrum. For those who were plantation owners and were white, life was good. For those of color, you don't have a 38, boy, you got a problem. What did you have? Nothing. And it was legal for you to not have anything. I mean, this was our effort to make sure that you don't have anything, any reason to have any hope that you could be standing in the plantation owner's shoes at any time in your life. All right. And the way he laid it out was exactly how he managed his plantation, which was actually in the West Indies.
I think it was the Virgin Islands.
Well, it said West Indies, whatever thing, almost. But but the brutality in breaking a man and tearing apart a family, even though they were stolen from their homeland, coming to a place where they've never been before, know nothing about, hearing people talk to and at them in a different language, and treating them poorly, from the man to the wife to the child. There was a strategy. It was a psychology. And you, as a white person, had to buy into it. Because if you didn't, and you thought that black people weren't going to take their anger out on you, you were foolish. And if you didn't, and you didn't think that the other white people in the community weren't going to be mad with you because you were sending a conflicting message, you were foolish. You know, the only way this thing would work and continue to work was that everybody was lockstep in how they treated black people. And I don't even want to use the word black anymore. How you use, colored people, African people, non-white, put it that way. We could roll with that. And there was a lot more to it. But it was a very interesting conversation. Will, did you have something?
Well, we're coming up on a hard break here, aren't we?
Oh, yes, we're coming up on a hard break. And let me give you 5 seconds of break. Okay, so we broke. Now, okay. So the next topic was what? The questions you should ask before marriage. Now, you had a strong opinion about that one. You want to repeat it for us?
I wish I could go back to memory banks and repeat it word for word, but I mean, there are, some legitimate questions that you should really ask somebody that you're that in tune with, or you want to be that in tune with, because like I said, when you become married, you're in a sense becoming one being. I mean, you're gonna think differently, but every move that you make, every move that they make, you're both gonna reap the benefits or the consequences of. So it's really good to be in tune with them and find out, okay, well, this situation might work for me, but it might not work for them. Can we come to common ground and just agree with, 50% of the situation? I mean, sometimes that might be what works. Sometimes you might be able to convince them of your idea. Sometimes they might be able to convince you of their idea, but it takes communication and dedication to that situation. But you won't know if you're not, if you don't ask these questions in the beginning, if they even want to discuss important issues.
Well, you have to be concerned if you're going to marry somebody, because a lot of people don't really understand what the commitment of marriage is. When they have that line in the wedding vows, for better or for worse, you need to stop and think about for better or for worse. Because you start with that one question and you can go on for a couple of weeks trying to figure out what you really think about that, how you really define that. Now, they might really define it. Example, we're married, life is good. Car accident, suddenly you're crippled. Whose obligation is it to take care of you for the rest of your life? Well, that's what you signed on for.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I didn't sign up for that. Okay, that's what you say today. Now, tomorrow, there's a miracle cure and the wife is not crippled anymore. Then you get crippled. Now what you got to say? Well, she said. So you need to ferret that out up front. If this is the kind of person that is about me, that may not be the person that you want to be with. Because there is no guarantee that tomorrow is going to be better than today. Most of the time, tomorrow it ain't gonna make it. It ain't gonna be nowhere near as good as today was. But anyway, and I think one of the points that you had made when we had that conversation was the timing of having that asking these questions. People would like, it's nice to kind of wait around and get to know each other, and the question comes up, maybe not. And I was of the opinion, we should sit down every week if this is where we're trying to go to, and have questions on the table as to, well, okay, what do you think about this? What would you do if this happened, or whatever? At that moment in time, they may have one opinion. Well, we're both young, so we don't see all the ramifications. But then you got to stop and think about it. Give us some thought, because I can lift When I was 21, I could lift 200 or 300 pounds at a clip. Now I'm 70. If it's a box of cereal, I might have a problem with it. You know, I mean, some days it don't work. but that's what I'm saying. What's the point of this? So have this conversation and get a good understanding. And then, and the last point, while you're having these conversations, asking these questions, you get a sense of, is this person I'm talking to earnest and truthful and focused? Because they may think it's funny today, and then tomorrow, when it actually comes about, I'm sitting here looking at you and saying, well, we had that conversation. You say, oh no, man, if I knew this how you were going to respond, I wouldn't have married you, dumb behind. And then we had the conversation about sharing of the wealth. A lot of people sit there in the beginning, and I'm not going to go on, but a lot of people sit there in the beginning of the marriage talking about, well, this is our plan. You're going to go to school and become a doctor. I'm going to go to school and become a lawyer. Oh, well, we both can't go to school at the same time. Well, that's okay. I'll wait and you finish. Then they finish school. Then they're making the money. Now you want to go to school so you can make money. But while you was waiting for them, you was babysitting. Now, when you're going to school, you expect them to do what? Babysit. Oh, no, I have to go to the cocktail party. So-and-so's retiring. I have to be at the retirement party. There's a company fishing trip. I have to go to that. And what am I supposed to do? Not get my work done at school because I got to stay home and babysit the kids? Yeah. Okay. So, yeah. The next topic.
Well, hold up.
Okay.
Yeah, like when you ask these questions, it's not a one and done. You know what I'm saying? You have to then, monitor these people that you in a sense interviewed for this position of being your spouse, and see if what they're saying lines up week after week, month after month, because then you may have to revisit it and say, hey, you said this, but your actions are leading me to believe it's going to be something different. So either we need to fix it now, or I got to go.
Especially with people that you're dealing with that are controlling or control freaks. Sometimes you don't know how controlling they are until you push them to the limit. You ask them, well, you might say, oh, this weekend where we usually have dinner on Friday, me and you, I'm going to be at a baby shower. And then you see their face get twisted. They don't say nothing, but they let you understand that that's not something that they had expected. And so now you know that, so I got to find out if this person is just going to be totally controlling, or is it just this one particular incident? So I got to do this a couple more times to see how they respond, because a control freak can't control themselves. They're going to let you know that you can't just do things like that there, disrupt the routine, or inconvenience them, because they got their plan together. I mean, these people and women, they run into this thing all the time with these foolish men who got no understanding of how to deal with people. And then suddenly they're like, oh, you mine. You can't do anything unless I let you. And they're stalking you.
Yep.
Bad enough for you just going with them. And you married them. You know what kind of nut you was getting.
It's all good till it ain't.
Absolutely. The next question was, next topic, I'm sorry, was transgender. And we picked that up because of they were letting men who trans themselves into women be in sports. And so it's like, well, if I'm a woman and I'm running against a man, that would be unfair. Just because they look like a woman don't mean it's fair. Okay. And then when they win, they're all, yeah, I'm the best. I'm the fastest runner. Really? When you're running against girls? Oh, but I'm a girl too.
No, you're not.
Well, we had the conversation.
Yeah. I
When
mean,
you're born male and you want to transgend into, it's kind of hard to make that whole thing happen where people don't really understand that you are not a woman. You are still a man, you
mhm.
know. And we talked about the big hands and big feet. You can't hide that. You can get all the Botox you want up in here, the weave, the wig, or whatever's going on, and the injections, stuff like that. But them hands and them feet will give you away every time.
Mhm. Yeah.
Anyway, before we go further, the last topic was the N word.
Mm.
Yeah. And we talked about the definition of that. And we actually recommended that people actually go and Google it themselves so they'll know what the definition is. But we did point out a couple of differences between was it ER and A,
Mhm.
the ending,
Yeah.
nigar and nigga, you know.
Mhm.
And we talked about the origin of the word itself,
Yeah.
that it was developed specifically to let people know that you were worthless. You were not like us, you
Mhm.
know, because you don't see any dictionary around here that has been written by a black man.
Mm.
That's not our job. We don't do that.
Mhm.
But
You're right.
they do, and they make you memorize it, you know. But anyway, um, one is a derogatory term, nigger, and one is supposed to be a word in love and appreciation, nigga. That's my nigga, yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
No, I ain't your nigga. I don't know
Mhm.
you like that.
That's right.
Right. You ain't in my bloodline. You didn't live in my household. And if you did, you knew better than calling me that. I slapped the taste out of your mouth.
How you like me now?
Right. You know? And then you got, um, white folk, your friends or whatever. Yeah, man, this is my nigga. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
What you just said?
Now, you might be white and you might say that about a real close black friend. I'm gonna give you that. You may do that. But the people who are hearing it, they ain't feeling it the same way because they know if you think you be my friend and you're gonna say that to me, like you said it to him, we gonna have a problem
Mhm.
because we ain't that close, you know. So leave that word out your mouth. You'll be fine.
Yep.
You won't have to worry about that being in your mouth.
All five of them. Well, four.
And not be the left hand, because when you catch the right, lights
Left
out.
is right behind.
You don't want to go there. But anyway, we actually had intelligent conversations. I'm just saying
Yeah.
because today we're cutting up, but it was actually intelligent conversation. We had some facts that we pulled together. Google isn't just a name, you know. And so now we've gone over all those. Do we have any more? I don't think so. Was there one that you wanted to bring up?
Um, we can kind of talk about the move back to Africa. I mean, a
Oh,
little bit that we know about it. It's
well, we had brought the gentleman John Sanders on from was the Black Business Alliance, something like that. There,
okay.
Facebook group, and he talked about there was a post on Facebook about Ghana and that they were giving away, what, 5,000 acres of land to African Americans who wanted to move to the country. And there were one of the guidelines or requirements was that you couldn't qualify if you were married to someone who was not African of African descent, black. So all of those folks who were married to, white folks, you really couldn't qualify because you weren't invited. And there's a reason for that, you know. Here in America, we kind of see things differently because we've been indoctrinated for so long. Oh, everybody's equal. We were never equal. We started out with that whole slave thing. And then once we were free legally, the first thing we want to do is, make some money. And then you make money, what do? You spend it on those things that you could not afford before. And we find a lot of black men and women who move up in life, want to get a white mate. Oh, because they're so liberated now. Really? You're still black to me. You're still black to them, and now your children are half black and half white. How do you think life is going to be for them when you're not around? Oh, everybody likes them because they got the good hair and the light skin and everything like that there, until they run into a white racist. Then they find out that, oh, I'm black, even though I got good hair and light colored skin. I didn't know that they treat black people like this. But anyway, it's not your problem anymore because you died and left them here to live that life that you knew was a problem when you signed up for it. Anyway, so what were we talking about? Oh, going to Ghana.
Yeah.
And so, they have some requirements that you have to understand. And we wanted to have more of that conversation about considering going back to Africa, because every other ethnic group in America has a home country. Even the Indians, who were here first, they came from somewhere. Probably Africa, on their way through Asia to America. Some interbreeding, listen, Negroid or black people, our DNA is strong only because it's probably the first. Yeah. We got that conversation about Adam and Eve and the fact that God, made the first man and blew life into him, but he made him from the dust of the earth. Yeah, I don't know about you, but I ain't never seen no white dust.
Me neither.
I've seen red clay. I've seen brown dirt. I've seen white sand, but he can say sand. So anyway, just think of this. Man has hairy body. How's that going to work out for you at the North Pole? Better than not having anything, right?
Mm-hmm.
A hairless body. At least you can lay on that hair and keep warm. So anyway, well, kind of losing sight of this reality that we're in. But anyway, were there any other topics? We talked about gun control. We talked about the secession. Ooh, that was they just had a vote, and the Republicans did not approve that independent commission to look into the attempted secession insurrection.
Mhm.
Oh, I'm sorry, I got that confused. We were talking about secession,
Mhm.
Texas. Yeah, that slipped by me. I'm sorry.
All right,
Uh,
happens.
yeah, yeah, you get old, you just just wander around. What the hell? Secession. Texas wanted to leave, considering planning, plotting, whatever, to leave the Union, which is probably going to be a problem. And we had talked about it from the perspective of what the media had reported, the history of secession
Mhm.
from Texas. But we do know that before the Civil War, there were a number of states who had seceded from the Union. And that was a problem. One of the two major reasons for the Civil War. The other one was slavery. Uh, so I guess the point with that, which also got us to talking about, was that Dr. Jones and the University of North Carolina and tenure.
Okay.
The fact that he had done the 1619 project
Mhm.
and was not going to reap the benefit of being tenured at the University of North Carolina because there may have been some concerns with the quality of the product that she turned out. Um, I'm not so much personally concerned with those issues that were raised from the scholars as to why they didn't feel that this was a legitimate uh, effort. The point of what she was trying to do will outlive someone else's criticism of what she did come up with. Okay, because the point is that in this country, um, its whole economic base was based on slavery. It benefited from slavery, and there's no way that in heck that you can argue that that slavery did not have an impact in the growth of capitalism in this country. You know, uh, the thinking is the thinking. Fine, the process is the process. Fine, I don't have a problem with that. But slavery and folks thinking white people are superior, nah, that that's foolish.
Um,
So
I think the issue wasn't that slavery didn't happen or that it didn't have the impact that it did. What they were saying pretty much was that the country was founded in 1619 and not when we declared independence from uh, Europe, and that's kind of the go back and forth thing. And then also with the Civil War was fought over. That's something that they address. They have a different thought process on that, and so I think those are the issues that are prominent in the situation that they have difficulties with. Not that slavery was not as impactful, or but black. I mean, everybody knows that black people, built this country. On the backs of on the backs of black people, on the backs of minorities all over. Contributed a lot to this country. So, but it's those other points that they try to gloss over that and say, oh well, they're just denying slavery was so impactful, and that's where people don't look into pull back the sheets and say, hey, nah, what are you actually saying? You're saying that these people said slavery didn't exist or slavery wasn't impactful. And then when you start looking at it, then it's like, oh, no, that's not what they said. But they get everybody hamped up on saying that, oh, well, yeah, the slavery wasn't as important or whatever. And I mean, you say stuff like that, it's going to infuriate, you know, all the people. You know what I'm saying? I mean, the people that know the facts or believe or know what they've been taught in school, everybody's been taught pretty much the same thing. So when you say something against that, it's like, nah, you must be retarded. Like, how can you argue that point? We all know this facts. But I think they use that as a cover to make people not look into it for themselves. Because when you start looking into it for themselves and you see what they're saying and what they're disputing, it's not actually what they're reporting in the media.
Well, uh, in addition to that, when we look at the overall picture, the overall character of the United States of America, it's built on lies,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Definitely.
and which is a shame because um, people have been so indoctrinated that we just gloss over so many of the lies
Mm-hmm.
to live a life that we believe is, good. We like it to be good, but it has some issues in it. And if we open our eyes, we'll see it.
Mm-hmm.
The fear is that once we see what we are actually doing and what we're actually about and how others perceive us, that we will be shamed. And with that shame, we cannot stand and hold our head up in front of everybody else. See, it's one thing when you're just plain arrogant and you hold your head up because it don't matter. You right and everybody else is wrong. But then when they tell you the facts and they use facts that came out of your own mouth, that hurts. That's when you're ashamed, okay? Because not they didn't come to the table and say, "Oh, you celebrate Columbus Day. He discovered America, yet you call it America." How's that work?
Well, he was under the charter of Spain when he sailed the seas. So he was Italian, but he sailed under Spain. America is Spanish, just like South America, North America, the Americas.
Um, my point was they named it America, although they say he discovered it. And the way it operates is if you discover it, you get to name it. And the easiest way to name it is give it your name. Okay. And so when you ask the hard question of, well, where did the name America come from? You see people sit there blinking their eyes. Really? And this is how you roll up on me, some little country somewhere else on the other side of the planet, and talk about how great and how good you are. And the first thing out of your mouth is you're a liar. But we digress. But we can see that throughout the history. And I say all that because this whole point about what Dr. Jones has done and what she has presented, just because someone has an issue with the point that she was making, they went about trying to find out, well, did you have enough commas in that sentence? Did you use enough capitals in that sentence? You know, and so like you just want to find something to discredit this as opposed to embracing her point she was making and dealing with the reality of the point that she was making. Okay. But this is America and this is how we do it. Uh, Even with the insurrection on January 6th, with the politics as they were, that no one, no, not no one, but a group of people would rather not find out the truth. So it won't happen again ever, than to say, well, let's find out the truth and then let's deal with it. Now, we've had a truth that a lot of people didn't like, and a group of people just said, no, it didn't happen. And we're all sitting there looking at it and say, yeah, it did happen. We saw it. But because of the way this country is run, politics of the day, or this is what we all have to live. Yeah. So it's shameful. It really is. When you really think about it, it's self-inflicted shame, because there's nothing wrong with having a disagreement. There's nothing wrong with having a leader that you don't particularly care for. Nothing wrong with that. The fact that you don't want to admit it, that's a problem. Okay, that's a problem.
Yeah, I think, I hear what you're saying. I kind of disagree, because it's being projected like that in the media, but plenty of people saw that as a problem. But there's a certain party that likes to take stuff and make you think that magic is happening when there's no magic happening, and they're doing their own thing behind the scenes. But there are investigations going on into it. So that's why it's like, why are we going to put all these other additional resources into a commission that in the past they had commissions that didn't bear any fruit? So why do all this when you already got other investigations going on that information is being collected on and stuff like that? And there's nobody that, even myself, agrees with what happened on January 6th. So, but they keep putting it in the media that, oh, well, they said that nothing happened. Yeah, something happened. But then at the same time, they're not talking about the 10 other states that's under attack. And it's like, okay, you're blowing this up, but you're not talking about that. But you're only talking about one side of the coin, when we all know that there's two sides to every coin. And to not, it's disingenuous at best, because there were certain things that they could have did, the powers that be, that could have prevented that situation, but they wanted to use it as a political tool to remove somebody that they didn't agree with. And like you said, we should be able to agree to disagree, but that's not how they do. And the media helps them, and they take advantage of every situation to deflect from doing the people's work, which is your work, my work, people that don't look like us work. They're not doing the job, and they're trying to get us all against each other. And they're sitting back laughing, saying, look at them fight at each other while we're reaping all the benefits, getting all the money. And they're just at each other's throats, and they're sitting there watching us on TV because we're their new entertainment.
Okay. We're going to have to cut.
We got admin notes.
We got what? About 2 minutes?
A second. For
seconds?
No, we got a couple minutes, but we got an admin note we got to do.
Yeah, quick.
Yeah. Well, thank you for watching, everyone. And if we would like to extend an invitation to send us topics that we could possibly add to the show. If you'd like to try to be a part of the show, please send a request through the comment section to my father. And we look forward to any suggestions.
Thank you. And next week, we'll be talking about something. In the meantime, 1, 2. Thank you. Thank you for participating. Good night, and we'll talk to you next week. God bless, as long as the creek don't rise.
Thank you. Have a blessed day.
Bye-bye.